I'm going to sort of show the web page, the Plastic Club web page about the collaborative collage projects and invite you to speak on them. And I believe Janice has some stuff to show on that. But that's maybe different than the rest of the stuff, but
I have postcards.
Right. And Mike has something to show tonight.
and how are you going to show it? How are
By magic.
Well, I have it both in my photos and on Dropbox. So maybe I'll try Dropbox.
all right?
All right. So I'm gonna set it up now. I'll bring it up and
Not
then
yet.
I'll come back to you. And then we have to go out of this and
We're
all
not
that.
doing it now. They're doing something else.
Okay.
Yeah, eventually, but I just wanted to get ready for it. I think
Oh, okay. No,
I got a little bit to show. Jane, Terrence, do you have anything to show?
Yeah, I have 3 sketches from the weekend.
Okay. All right, good. We got Mick and Ted.
I have something tonight.
Good.
Hi.
Okay.
And my thing, one of my pieces though, refers back to something Janice showed last week. So I'm wondering if we can persuade her to put up the sheep, the sky sheep.
Okay, I'll see if I can do that.
Yeah.
File. Open. Okay.
Well, let me start out with kind of a review of some of what's going on at the Plastic Club. I invite Susan to comment on this. This is the Plastic Club webpage. And the news page is getting really good these days. And here's the, Susan, can you say that?
Okay, so I think it was Tina. I think it was Bob Moore. I don't know if Bob Moore's here yet, but I think Bob Moore said, what should we call this? And I think it was Tina who said, well, collabolage. Like it was the most obvious thing in the world. So collabolage, you can say collabolage. So it's a collaborative collage project that grew out of the salon that was on Collage hosted by Laura Stork. And we invited people to join. We got, I think, 12 participants. Is that right? I think it's something like 12 participants. Some people are doing on more than one team. So the math doesn't actually add up, but we have 5 boards that are going out, that have been sent out in person, right? So 5 are doing like real hands-on paper glue type collages. There are 3 artists named, artist number 1, 2, and 3. Number 1 gets the blank collage that's been prepared by me on illustration board. It's white, and they have to launch it. They have to do something to the page, send it to artist number 2, who develops it, and then they mail it on to artist number 3, who wraps it all up. And in the end, all of those people are going to be taking photographs as they go of what comes in and what goes out, so that later when we do a Zoom meetup to review the process, we'll be able to tell the story of each board. So there should be like 5 boards, 5 stories. And this here, which you're looking at, is the discussion blog. So we're encouraging people who are doing this to, you know, talk about the process, what it's like to look at the blank page, what it's like to develop it. And also, I don't think you can post photographs there. And once I realized that you couldn't do that, somebody told me you couldn't do it. I thought, well, that's a good thing, because then we'll just have like an unveiling at the end when we do that sort of wrap up Zoom session. So there it is. It's a lot of fun. And in the end, we're going to take the finished pieces. I'm going to photocopy them and mail a piece back to each artist that they worked on. And then we're going to post the results on this page. So we're hoping to inspire people to consider these collaborative things because it's a lot of fun. It's a way to build friendships and just, you know, share the thing that you love. And it's also a great thing to look forward to the mail. I love to go to that mailbox every day and say, is there something there today? And often there is. Is that enough of a story?
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Susan, when you said that the boards are, like the process is going to be shown, is that during this Tuesday sharing or a different time?
No.
No.
No. There's a sort of deadline. It's not a hard deadline. We have a sort of deadline for the end of September, but I'm kind of thinking that we might wrap up actually sooner than that. So once we wrap up the project, then we're going to do a Zoom session to talk about it. We'll invite everybody to join to hear what people have to say. And then we'll share them. I haven't talked to the communications team yet about how we're going to share them, but you know, look what they do, you know, I'm sure they're going to do something splashy,
Yeah.
you know, in order to show, like, maybe they can help us tell the story of each board and then show the results. I'm not sure yet how that's going to happen. It'll be a surprise.
And meanwhile, Ron and I have been talking about a digital collage, but we're sort of behind these guys. These guys are way ahead of us.
But you guys work awfully fast. You digital folks, you know, I think what you guys have to do is just firm up the process, decide if you're doing it in pairs or teams. But
Yeah,
once you make the decision, then I think you guys are going to catch up.
Yeah.
And there's no end, there's no race, you know, we can just
Right.
publish things as they come out.
Janice, do you think it's appropriate to show your postcard work now?
Okay, I'll see if I can. I had the others lined up first, but I'll try.
She's looking at her computer.
Let's see. Oh. Oh, okay. Okay, that's the one Susan wanted.
Oh, I love it.
These are postcards that Susan and I worked on. Unfortunately, I didn't photograph the originals, so you won't see the changes here. I think they're gorgeous.
I agree.
What
Yeah.
Susan,
Janice, I wanted to ask you about yours because the latest one with the Sphinx,
I love it.
tell me about that shape with the blue, that looks like a blue profile.
Yes,
Was that a profile the way you drew it?
it
Because I
was.
didn't find that.
It was, but then I thought it was fine if it was ambiguous, you know, and just a shape.
So I thought that was really interesting because I didn't see that profile. And if you can see, folks, we're talking about the blue profile there with the red. And so that was, her postcard was black and white lines. And so there was this shape in there and I wasn't sure what to make of the shape. But somehow, this is how these things work. That there is something, and see the curly Q on your art, Janice, do you see the curly
and
Q there?
matched it.
Yeah, this curly Q here. And so it's very subliminal because I didn't know how to read the shape. And somehow I just slept on it. And I thought it's a Sphinx. And look at how her things are like papyrus. They're like, reminds me. And so it was after I placed the Sphinx that I realized that that was the profile of a face. And I realized she's asking the Sphinx the question. And the curly Q on the art that you did, of course, is mimicked in the question mark of the, like the snake head. So this is the fun thing about collage is it's a visual conversation.
Yes.
People, and I think that Janice and I understand one another.
Well, on the
Well,
on the
you did
top
really
left,
well.
on the top left too, there's a little head that sort of looks like it's mirroring the Sphinx head, including
Yes.
the little thing at the top of the head, you know?
Well, I added the thing at the top of the head because I thought that too.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very cool. And Janice, I saw the original before she worked on it. And she was asking me, what is this? What am I, you know? And then she thought of next she came back and she says, I got it figured out. And this is what the result was. It was really cool.
This is amazing to me because,
Yeah.
you know, I just put these little shapes in and thought, I wonder what she'll do with these. But my God, this is great.
It was really wonderful. And then the top piece, Janice did this. Is that a marker, the black marker drawing?
Yes.
And I imagine that it was something that you were just sitting there at a table and you were looking at a plant or something? I mean,
No,
what inspired those?
I just did that. You know, I didn't look at anything in life. It's just,
All right,
okay.
well, thank you. We'll have to have a,
Lesson learned, though, is that you guys
Before.
should remember to take a photograph of the before and after.
I know from now on I will. See,
And I have photographs, so I can send you the befores of what I have. So let's look at these. Wow.
Wait a minute. Fit on screen.
Yeah, I put him on there. And the base, somebody put this.
Yeah, this is one that Sarah and I worked on.
Oh,
I didn't give her much to work with, but
oh my God, you did.
it's great. And then I'm so sorry that I didn't get Sarah's original on this because she had done the orange circles. And then I added blue stuff, sent it back to her, and then she added the man looking into some kind of implement he's working with.
Yeah, he's from a very old magazine.
Wow. And then this last one
Fabulous.
was just, you know, another, and look what Susan did with it.
Can you move the page on that so we can get the full bottom image?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, it's locked. You can't see it. Yeah. But look
Maybe
at those blues. I was wild.
view actual size.
How about that?
All right. So the one on the left was the beginning and the one on the right was the changed.
Yes, by the second person.
Very
Yeah,
painterly.
I'm the second person.
Oh, very good, Sarah.
Unbelievable.
Very good.
That's
Yep.
all.
And that baby was also from a very old magazine. But as soon as I saw that yawn, I thought that yawn is going right there with the blue paint.
Oh, yeah. I really laughed when I got that.
They are fabulous.
Okay. I have other things from me, but let somebody else go first.
Right. All right. We have, Anders is here against.
Oh, good.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm only joining to say hi. I can't
Hi.
say I'm in another super crazy work mode. I worked till midnight last night and probably again tonight.
Woo. Thanks.
I hope to join you all next week and see some work and show something. But I just wanted to say hi.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in.
Anders, glad to see you.
Good to see you.
Take care.
Okay.
We should do the chain gang song, you know, working on a chain gang.
Right.
Well, you know what? And the thing too is every time he signs on, there's a different name that he comes on with.
Yes. It's
It reminds me of the Rockford Files that Jim Rockford, he used to have in his glove compartment a little machine that could make business cards. And he would just change his name and profession as needed to be able to do his investigations. Maybe Anders is a secret agent and we don't know it.
All right. So who is, I have stuff to show. Terrence does. Ron, do you? Ted does.
Only if
Nick
there's
does?
time. Only if there's time.
Only if I'm the same way.
Dog is going berserk. 1 minute.
oh,
All right. Jane does not. We have technical issues with Mike with using the Dropbox.
Well, I'm gonna help.
Yeah, we're gonna try.
Okay.
He's gonna try.
Well, let's start with Mick. Mick looks as if he's ready. Does not have a dog barking at him.
No dog. No dog. Hello, everyone. All right, so
Hey, Mick.
I
Oh,
wasn't
man.
paying attention what day Tuesday was last week, but I've done a whole bunch of different things in my sketchbook and some other sheets. And so I'll just show a couple here. So I did this one the other day. Wait, what's the 14th? Yeah, that was on the weekend, wasn't it? I don't know. And this is another view of a place that I've already been to on 2nd Street in Kensington. So I was looking at stuff like Hopper's rooftops and things that he was doing. And I'm like, I need to find some rooftops like that, but I don't know anybody that's going to let me on top of a building. And then I noticed when I was on top of the the bridges, you can see a lot. So I'm like, okay, I need to go back to these bridges. So I did a sketchbook study on one of the bridges. You can never get the darks dark enough, and they're scanned in, and maybe they don't look as dark as they do, but you have to come home and like triple darken those when you get home. But yeah, it's like over the Amtrak. It's like a really curvy, humpy bridge, and you're eye to eye with the backs of these old factories. I love it. So let's see. This one was super early in the morning again, a couple weeks ago. And if I just go up something like Frankfurt Avenue, it's amazing how many great little scenes there are with, you know, the light hitting something on one side and then of a cube, you know, like a building, and the other side being really, really dark. So I probably didn't get that as much as I wanted to here. And I took out all the cars, all the people, everything. I just edited it down. And then there were 2 stop signs, and you can see, so it was early in the morning. And this was cool. So I figured out some, on that handprint website, like mixes of watercolors that get like really black, but that aren't black, that you mix colors that you already have in your palette. That way it's all related. And I found some cool ways to use the color Prussian blue that I got. So that super dark shrubbery stuff is like Prussian blue, and one of the reds that helped make the other reds. So I'm pointing, you can't see what I'm doing. It's the other reds. So here, I'll zoom in just so you can see what's happening here. But it's like it's funny when you put down the colors you think are the colors, you have to go back and darken things so much when you have like an almost white, because it's like almost white on that edge. So that has to be so dark there in order for that to work. But this is like so much bigger than it is in the sketchbook. So there you get a close up on my brushwork.
So Mick, remind us, how long did that take you to do?
Probably an hour there, and then an hour or 2 at home.
Yeah, it's really good.
Couple hours for sure. Thanks.
Yeah, very nice.
And then
Go
ahead.
On both of those, your treatment of telephone wires is kind of, there's very little telephone wires, but there's just enough, and they're off center.
Yeah.
You got rid of your
I've been
cards.
overdoing those telephone wires, and I realized I'm not using, so there's this thing called aerial perspective that I didn't know about. Now I'm like realizing that when I draw these lines, sometimes I do them too dark and too thick. So I'm trying to like tone it down. But what's cool is actually this side of Frankfurt Avenue doesn't have any. They were actually on the other side, so I didn't really have to do too much with it. What was happening on the other one? Yeah, these are, yeah, so I see what you mean. I just have them like cutting in a little bit. I cropped this a lot because I was like, I had a false start with this one, which was really bad. And then I realized I wanted to crop it. So yeah, as a little element, if you just get some little lines, if you have all these big masses and then you just get a couple lines, sometimes that's really the effect you need. You don't have to go crazy with them. It's good to edit some out. And then this one's a big sheet. So this isn't, you know, this would be about twice as big as you're seeing it on the screen. I had a little problem with my masking tape, and I wasn't able to put my signature the way I usually do. So I tried painting it on there this time. I don't know, whatever. But it's because it bled out of my masking tape because there were a lot of washes on this. But this was on a cloudy day. Oh no, this was after a rainstorm. This was in the afternoon. So there were very few shadows, and I was just walking around taking pictures. So I'll blow some of this up. So I changed some colors around. That blue building was a totally different blue because I wanted to do the orange of the cone and that sign of like the exact complement, just to practice making that look cool. And I did like a 5-minute sky just to like do it because I keep overworking these things. So totally just went for it. And it was like 3 3 colors, wet into wet, just go. Actually, it wasn't exactly wet. It's the first color down and then the next 2 wet into wet. You just got to go for it, even if you screw it up. So yeah, then I get to go nice and slow and do all these little details. Once I'm happy with the sky and the floor, then you can go really slow.
Were that many birds up there? Were they actually that many?
No, you know what happened? The birds are there because there was some kind of problem. Actually, you can probably see it there. I didn't put a bird on top of that. I spilled the orange somehow or splattered. I have no idea what happened. I didn't notice it until like later. And I'm like, what's happening here? I'm like, oh. I'm like, oh, I can turn those into birds. So I had to mask some ugliness there. So there you go. A happy accident.
Yeah.
The very last thing I did was do that piece of graffiti because I almost forgot. I'm like, wait, there's no graffiti. I need to put graffiti on something.
So make this, you said this is a bigger one. What paper did you use on this?
It's 9 by 12. What is it called? Fluid 100 paper.
Is it like a hot press?
No, it's cold press, but it's really smoothie. It's not. It's somewhere in between. It's not as rough as Arches, which I like because that's a little too rough for me for some reason. Yeah.
Nice.
It's nice paper.
Mhm.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Very nice, Mick.
Mick,
Very nice.
I want to say the birds make it look like around a river, like seagulls being around a river or something. They're like more life than you usually have in your pictures. But
Yeah, actually, that's a
adds
really
kind
good
of a
point.
mood. I
That's
like
a good
them.
point.
Mm.
I only really thought of the birds because I was looking at somebody else's work. I can't remember his name now. He's got a Croatian name, but he lives in New Zealand or something. And he's like some super famous watercolors. And he like puts birds and everything. It's like his little signature. And I was like, oh, this is right off the Delaware River. I'm like, those could be birds. Like, thanks, Joseph Kazubo or whatever his name is. Sorry, I can't remember his name. I was really excited. I was like, oh, I get to try birds. So thank you, though. That's right. It needs a little life sometime. Thank you.
Very nice.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
I had another word to use, but I think it's absolutely wonderful. I love what you do.
Yeah.
Thank
really.
you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You too.
yep, absolutely.
Terrence, is your dog settled?
Yes, he is.
All
Peace,
right.
peace reigns.
Hmm.
I realize that I pretty much since I've been taking part, I've only been showing sketches and etc. Hopefully I'll have some finished stuff next week, but these are sketches from, just 3 sketches from this weekend. So this is not mine.
Well, it's great. It's great to see the sketches.
Wait, hold on. Let me, 1 second.
I remember some of your sketches. I remember they stick in my mind. I have pictures of them in my head.
Are you referring to the naked women?
No,
Me?
the one in blue, the one dressed in blue. I
Can you
remember.
see this now?
No, you haven't shared screen yet.
Okay, hold on. Let me, it's not cooperating. All right, here we go. All right, share screen. Now it's showing me, but it's not showing my screen. This is weird. Oh, wait, oh, here we go.
Ah.
Okay. Why it's not, okay, how's that? Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is this weekend. We managed to pull it off. We were, the weather, it was Sunday. So I had scoped out some gazebos. So we found a gazebo big enough for the 4 of us. Meg did not wear a mask. Me, Anders, and Juliet did. So she had this really interesting dress, which I hope we have her again this weekend. So I'm gonna ask her to wear the same thing. It had like these vine flowers that also looked almost like stars. So this is like a quick sketch. This was probably a 10 or 15-minute sketch for same pose. So that's why I say it's probably 10 or 15, probably 10 minute. So it's 10 minute and 10 minute. And then a more portrait.
Hmm.
So I haven't drawn this way in a long time. So I was seeing if I, try to get back to a little more deliberate. So she, I don't know if any of you remember Meg. She's got a lot of hair, probably goes down to below her waist. So she's, plus she really picked a great dress for the challenge. And that's it.
Very nice.
Nice.
Very nice.
What size are these?
These are 9 by 12, but these are not. These are half. So these are, half the page, half a 9 by 12, horizontal, flipped. Excuse me. This one's even smaller, actually. So part of the page. So this is pretty small. This probably ends up being about 3 by 5. So that's
How
that.
about what kind of light conditions did you have? It was a gazebo. Did you have direct light or?
There's no electricity. We don't bring fill light or anything. So you pretty much have to deal with the light you've got. Fortunately, it wasn't so dark that she was lit. Wait, you can see from here. She was lit coming from this side and from behind. Like this side of her face and even here would have been darker. But, you just play around with what you're doing. So this was dark. She was kind of backlit. So.
Love the composition there.
Thank you.
I do too.
Thank you. So, well, like I said, here you can see it a little more. So you had like an underdress here, solid, and then this lace with laced pattern of vines that had like the flowers could be stars or they could be flowers over it. So it was really challenging.
Yeah.
Both Anders and Juliet did some really nice work. So one of these days, maybe Anders can.
So Terrence, where do you go from here? Do you do a painting?
I probably won't. No, the poses were too short. They were 20 minutes. I would have had to take a photograph and then use a photograph for
Reference.
for details and reference, but probably not. It's the exercise. It's the hand-eye coordination. It's the gesture of the drawing. I mean, I say they're sketches, but they're finished. I mean, I'm not going to do anything with it.
Well, the portrait piece really looks like it'd make a nice painting.
Yeah, but I would ask her to sit.
Yeah.
I would ask her to sit and then do it over a longer period of time. So.
Sure.
So that's that. Oh, there he is.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know where he came from. That was from.
That was from Mix.
That's Sunday. That's Sunday. That's a
Seagull.
General's draw and wash, the carbon pencils that you use. What are they called?
Sketch and wash.
Sketch and wash. Yeah. That's from yesterday at the beach. I didn't know how you got in there. Anyway, that's a seagull.
Oh,
Good.
Yeah,
So-
that's- tells the story. It's nice.
Yeah. There you go.
Ha ha.
Very
thank you.
Chad, do you want to go?
Okay. These are continued part of my series. What do I do now?
Get your Photoshop ready and then share screen.
Oh, I'm on Photoshop right now.
Well, then you have to share screen
Okay.
and select Photoshop.
from Zoom.
From Zoom, yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm on the web page.
You hover down, if you're on the Zoom and you hover down, there should be a green share screen icon. Or you have to hover down for it to pop up. I mean, with your mouse, you know.
On the Zoom screen, that's right. The bottom menu kind of disappears sometimes on Zoom.
Right.
And so you have to
What am I looking for?
the green share screen button.
Well, I don't have that.
You have to move your mouse down.
Oh, here we are.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Ah,
Can you see that?
yes.
Okay. All right, so this is a continuation of my work. All the compositions are always different. I never duplicate the same composition. And it's the same thing with the colors. Sometimes I'll go to the color wheel and play around with the colors. Sometimes I'll see something that I have a habit of when I see some color combinations, I'll just copy them and put them in a folder. And I'll just refer to them at some point. That's where this came from.
When you say I go to the color wheel, what does that mean? Is it the color wheel in Photoshop or the color wheel in your head or your memory of the?
Well, I can't show you, can I? You don't see what I'm doing, but here's the color wheel.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
you,
we can see that,
you
definitely.
literally have a color wheel.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
This,
Wow.
these are all works in progress, so I'm playing with the orange, kind of bright right now, but I'll have to play with that. But it's an interesting color combination. I've never done it before. And I like that.
Wow.
Some areas well, in this case, oh no, I left the red, no texture on the red, as you can see.
Would make a nice carpet.
Yeah, or a rug.
Cool design, yeah, it's a really nice design.
Oh, man, that is so cool. Woo!
Another nice carpet.
Yeah,
Wow.
70s style, I like it. Wow, that red is just
Of course, I'm
blasting
seeing-
out of the screen.
I'm seeing a collaborative collage,
Like
you know?
pop art.
I think the orange shape is not, no texture in the orange.
I'm getting the optical illusion of seeing edges, like as if you highlighted a selection and stroked the edge, but you didn't. That's
No,
just the optical illusion.
no, I didn't. I didn't.
So one observation here is it looks like the distance between the shades of, you know, if you're moving from the outer edge, that distance and the next distance is the same, but then the third distance is shorter. Somehow it just works. I mean, and what's true about this one and the first two that you showed to me is it like invites your mind to play with it. Like, what is it, you know? And the
Yeah,
other ones I started seeing letters, you know, and
Mhm.
how many letters can I find? And, you know, and it's so playful because the colors are just delightful, you know, it's wonderful.
no, thank you very much. Yeah, I had fun doing this one too. When I first did it, these edges were all straight.
Mhm.
And I thought, make it a little warmer with the edges. So I went in and I curved all the edges. I think it worked.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that worked.
Yes.
Ted, is the difference in the distances between, like you have two equal distances and then you have an unequal, is that intentional?
Where is this?
Well, like if you move from the, in the center, if you move, say, from the left edge, there's this kind of, I don't know what color that is. It's sort of like a dried blood color. And
Like
then
a
you've got
chocolate almost.
chocolate, yeah. And then you've got this sort of brown, and then the very next edge there you see how those first two widths are the same and then the other one's not? And again, I'm just wondering, is that intentional or is that just, that's the way
I don't see where you're talking. Here's a grid superimposed on it.
Oh, no.
Yes. So the first two, if you go from the left, the first two is a,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here?
I
It's a
see
1
that.
to 1.5 ratio. Yeah, for sure.
I'll have to go over it and take a look, measure it. But
no,
thank,
there's, you know, and it's like,
it's not intentional, no.
it's not intentional, but it might be doing something that's good, you know, that's,
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
yeah.
I see little people running around looking for each other in there.
And look at the surprising, where the, at the very edge, at the bottom and the top, that color is very surprising.
Yeah.
This color here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that,
Well, it's the same color, except that it's underneath this here. If I got rid of this, see, it's still there.
okay.
So,
Ah,
and the last one
Oh, I love that.
is more subtle. Again, the centerpiece is no texture on the center. And I think on these edges here, there's no texture here. Of course, I can come back and change this any way I want. You know, I could take the texture out, fool around with it. But I like this one very much. So that's what I've been doing.
Ted, I like how they're all similar and they look like an L and then another L, but then they're all different. It's like there's a basic L thing going on in my head, but then you take off on it with the colors. It's
Yeah.
nice.
Well, that's how it started with this shape here and then this shape here. Not very many shapes here.
But there are a lot.
That's the only L shape there.
Uh,
Well, it's not even an L shape. It's just this green shape here.
oh,
In and out. And then when I put that in, that creates that shape there. And then on and on. Orange may be too bright.
Are you considering moving into painting or printing any of the ones you've shown us?
I'm going to pick a couple and take them. I want to use that printer that Ron had recommended. Greg is his name, the guy? At the printing place, the Philadelphia print, didn't you?
Oh, Laura has worked, Keith or Kevin, I think his name is, but Keith maybe?
I have it written down here somewhere, but I'm gonna approach them. So, and I have to choose this week which pieces I want printed, and just have a couple of small ones done just to see how they work out, and then maybe a large one later on. So, I could picture these about 12 inches wide by like 12 by 18.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good size for these. I think.
Will you have a very smooth paper and then try and get the optical effect of with the ink to get that texture feel, or how will you approach that texture?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. I could, I don't know if I'm sure they have textured paper there. You could also have this printed on canvas.
Yeah, I was going to say, would you even
Yeah.
frame this, Ted?
I'm sorry?
Would you even frame it? I mean, it looks like it would work well if it were not framed. Because what kind of a frame would you put on this? Because it seems like the frame might take away from it. It's I don't know what others think. You
Okay.
others probably have more experience with it than I do, but
Yeah. Well, I'll think about it.
It'd be
It's
cool, like-
difficult hanging.
Mounted or printed on like aluminum or something like
Yeah.
Donald Judd or something. So it's like stands off the wall maybe, and there's a shadow play behind it or something. You know, it's so the craft that you put into making it, showing like all those occlusions and stuff is cool. Like there's so much into it, but it's like this factory made thing when you're done. It's like so precise. So it'd be cool to present it that way.
Well, thank you for your advice. I appreciate it. How do I get out of this now?
I'll get you out.
Okay, thank you. I like your comments.
Nice work, Ted, as usual.
Yeah. Mike, do you want to try?
Sure. Sierra's gonna.
This is the experiment in Dropbox. Your screen, very good.
The rest is up to Mike.
Oh,
Wow.
Very nice.
Oh, yeah.
This was originally done, I think, and shown a couple of months ago. And then we were driving by Abington Hospital, and they had signs out there thanking their heroes. The sign said, "Heroes work here." So I took the original collage, which was, I called Cirque de Conavid, the Cirque being the framework, the word taken from the Cirque du Soleil,
Mhm.
the acrobats on this very complicated work. And so I put the animals and things on that. And so I stripped all of the people off of it and put the medical people on there in place.
Good.
Just showing like down here, they're pushing the virus off of the frame. I left the lion for the circus part of it, the Cirque part. So I kind of left him in there. And this is the top Abington Hospital. And what is time consuming once I find the images is putting the masks on everybody and everything, and shield and mask on every character. And then I go back, what to me is interesting as I keep looking at it. I pictured if I were standing on a cable, what would my feet look like? They wouldn't just be flat like they were on the ground. So all of the feet are positioned as though like the toes are going over the edge of the table and they're slightly off center to balance them on there. And this was actually one person.
They don't know. Wait.
Oh, up top, the line of nurses, that was actually one nurse. Made the made the line, put the masks on, and then adjusted the feet and the arms and the hands so it looked like different people.
Wow.
Nice.
And this,
Well hidden.
Yeah,
this,
it does.
I wouldn't be able to spot that.
this portion here, the band painting, that was originally an elderly painting in the Louvre copying the Mona Lisa. So in place of the Mona Lisa, I put a nurse, put in a mask on her, and then replaced the painter with the back of a healthcare worker. So it was.
Is this the pointer over here?
Well,
Can you, okay. Can you use that?
I don't know. Oh, yeah, I guess I can.
I don't know.
No, all right. But anyway, what was nice is that Abington Hospital, which is Jefferson, is going to be displaying a large print of this, a 16 by 20, in the hospital.
Huh, cool.
Great.
Mike, this is
Very
brilliant.
nice.
It is. It's really nice.
Do you want to submit this to the historical project that we're doing?
Absolutely.
You would send a print to me. You might like write a message on the back. We're going to be displaying these as a group, and it's all COVID themed. We're calling it a journal page. The maximum size is 11 by 14. and then we're gonna display them somehow with Plastic Club. But eventually, they're gonna go over to the Philadelphia Historical Society once we're, the hard copies are gonna go there for future generations to refer back to see what we artists were doing artistically to express what's going on today.
So do you want an actual print in 11 by 14?
Yes, at maximum 11 by 14. The instructions are on the website under the, I think it's called the Historical Journal Project or something.
Oh, okay. Sure.
It's sent to me because my mailbox can accommodate packages, whereas the Plastic Club mailbox cannot.
And I
So
have,
I'm housing them until we collect enough and start to display them.
Yeah, good. Thank you. That would be
This
very
is
nice.
a perfect example, and it should be viewed a lot. I mean, this is a really nice piece.
The last question I have is that the mat around it, that's also digital. In other words,
Interesting. Yeah, fascinating.
is that the way you would want to show it, just the way it shows here?
Any way you want to present it, it's your artwork.
Okay,
And
great.
just read the description on the website so you get an idea, and then you would send it to me. In my address, I can send it to you, but Sarah has my address. It's in the book.
Yeah.
I just want to say what impresses me about this piece. It took so long to work on it, and each detail, and to get rid of anything that didn't look right. And if you look at all the details individually, the little pieces, it's really remarkable. I mean, I know he's my husband and everything, but as an artist, I just love what he did and enjoy his patience with producing it and working it and changing it. And, so I hope it's okay to say all that about your husband's work.
Oh, you haven't said enough. It's absolutely amazing.
You're saying what we're
agree.
thinking. You're saying what we're thinking, Sarah.
Yep.
Yes,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
very good.
It's nice to be appreciated when you put as much work into it as I did into that. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, beautiful.
And it's fun. It's fun.
Great
It's
job.
an upbeat image, so many of us are doing pieces about the COVID experience, and that's like a completely uplifting message.
Hey, that's what I wanted. Thank you.
Yeah.
And-
Susan,
A way for me to say thank you to these people who I don't know.
Yeah.
The reference to a circus is interesting too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
is a circus,
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause this is like, you can, with what's going on today, you can almost hear that calliope music playing in your head, as all this is going on. So
Hmm.
it kind of all works.
Janice, you had some more to show, right?
I do. But the reason I had my hand up is nobody can ever hear me. So Susan, I had a question, which
Yeah.
is, were we supposed to write something on the back?
You can do
Okay.
anything that you want. It's called a journal piece,
Right.
which means that it's personal. So for my piece, I am definitely writing. I mean, you can either attach a piece of paper, just something that will go with it. And
Okay.
I think that in the end, I'm not sure exactly how they'll be stored, if it's going to be in glassine sleeves or something, but we'll keep whatever's written with the image.
Good. I think I'll write something and send it.
I think it's called a journal. I think that's entirely appropriate. Whether you write it on the page or not, you can put a separate sheet in.
Susan, I looked on the webpage and I couldn't find the address. So
My address? Oh, okay.
let's
So-
bring it up next week. Next
Yeah,
week,
it's in the book. My address is in the book.
right, okay. Let's see, Janice, did you want to show?
Okay, I can do that. Okay, you guys have seen
Wow.
some of them, so I'm gonna just quickly go through them because you've already seen them. But I've done another one that kind of goes with it, that one, and so different layers. I still like my skies. But I started to see other other shapes in looking around the apartment that could fit in some of the open spaces.
Janice, you know what I'm looking at there? I mean, that's a really fascinating image. I'm dying to see what it looks like turned around. I'm seeing I'm like, that's like jellyfish in ocean. I mean, you could interpret that so many different ways. I'm wondering if you flip it around, if it's going to look like a reflection of the sky on water.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if that's possible. I'm just curious
Image.
It's
Under
amazing.
image.
the way it is.
Image rotate.
Image rotate, yeah.
Right. And you're suggesting,
I'm just curious because look at that. I don't know, maybe
that works
what you
too.
had feels better, but I think it works. I think what you had works better.
Yeah.
I agree.
What was in the lower left? It used to be lower left before you, yeah, that stuff. What is that?
Yeah. It's a glass tumbler.
Wow.
So the crystal kind of design, and
Wow.
thought it might be fun.
It looks like the Battleship Galactica.
Well, you really abstracted that.
Yeah.
It looks like an extraterrestrial from this orientation. I think it was more eloquent the way you had it. Thank you for
It
indulging
looks
me.
like a torso with, you know, like with a glass marble head on it, made of some kind of super celestial cloud person inside of it. It's really cool.
Thanks.
It's upside down now,
Yeah.
in my description.
Oh, look at it. Look at that.
This is the last one I'll show. These items were from what Bob showed last week. Did you show them?
No, they haven't seen these. I'll show it
Okay.
when it's my
Well,
turn.
After Bob shows his, you'll see. These are microscopic images that he took with his digital microscope, and I played with it.
Huh.
So
What are they, Bob?
I'll maybe this is the time for me to do it. I'll close you, Janice, okay?
pardon me?
I'll close you,
No, I'll close me.
okay? And let's see, Ron, I guess you're gonna be last. Let me go. This is what she's talking about. I don't know if I showed you guys this last week. This is a 1600 power or 1000 power digital microscope. It's really cheap. It was like $40. And I've been using that a lot.
Oh, neat, Bob.
And here, all right, this is applesauce on a blue plate, fresh from the jar. All right, and this is applesauce on the same plate 2 days later. And this is applesauce on a plate 4 days later.
Oh my God.
And I'm really enjoying these because I feel as if these are another world.
Yeah.
These are maps of a world that only I know about.
That's for sure.
That's very neat. Very cool.
I also went to our tub drain and took out the hairs in the tub drain.
I think I liked it better before you said that.
And then,
Too much information.
yeah, perhaps so, it is. And this is Janice's hair right after she shampooed it and trimmed it.
Oh.
And I think that's just beautiful.
Oh my God.
And this is an old,
Don't tell us.
yeah, really. Yes, I maybe shouldn't.
Now you're going to tell us that that's Janice's hair before she washed it.
All right.
That's just something else.
God.
Well, and this, I won't tell you either.
Wow. That's your beard. Is it not?
No, it's not. Unless somebody twists my arm, I just won't tell you because it's a little bit.
Come
To
on,
move.
Bob.
I'm twisting.
Come on,
your arm.
Bob.
I'm twisting.
Twisting.
All right, this is, I wish Carla was here. This is a security, you know, the security imprinting on an envelope.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah,
The background there is pretty interesting. The frame of it, you know.
yes.
That stuff, that's really cool.
I've been loving doing those.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wow, this stuff is beautiful.
And I have one more. This is a traditional, these are two Russian patterns from the 1920s. You can sort of see a hammer and sickle. They're overlapped. And this was in the tradition of my earlier work. But I'm going heavy into the microscope. It's like withdrawing from the world, going inward. Somebody come and dig me out.
Yeah, you two are something else. You're going into the super microscopic, and Janice is looking at the celestial sky. So you know what? It's you're running the gamut. Yeah.
And we're both doing circles.
So I actually do have something to share tonight that relates to Janice's sky thing and a couple other things. Is it okay if I try?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. But it's funny, my computer's doing a different sequence tonight, so let's see if I can get to it. I'm gonna try to share screen. And now I'm looking for my photos. Okay, there it is. That was easy. Okay, so we're coming down to this. So Janice, when you showed your sheep,
Yes.
isn't this funny? So this is something I did. I did this years ago, but I call it the celestial goat because
wonderful.
the technique, I did a certain technique to get that background, you know, and then you kind of look at it and see what it wants. And I had just gone to Paros and they have these funny goats. And this guy, just the way he was standing looking at me, I just thought it was hilarious. So I just thought I would make him into a celestial. So that's a bunch of washes and that's acrylic, you know, over a charcoal. The base is a charcoal in water thing.
Ah.
Okay.
I
Look at
like
those
the
ears.
overall texture. The fact that the whole work is textured.
Yeah. So what it is it's this you make the texture with charcoal and water, and then you have to seal it off, and then with like some sort of a barrier. And then because you've done that, you can't put like watercolor on top, but you can put washes of acrylic, thin down acrylic paint, which is how I got the background. And then I just use white paint and black paint to do the goat.
Does it have a name?
I think of it as the celestial goat. I think we call it the Parian goat because it was on Paros. Not a very creative name.
Yeah, it needs a name, yeah.
Yeah. So then a new share. Let me see if I can get the next piece. I'm trying to move forward in that photos.
I think its name is Celeste.
Celeste.
There you go.
Okay, you know what?
Celeste, very good.
Yeah, you had it, Susie.
Your pictures are in the way, so I can't see the carrot. Okay.
There it is.
All right. So
Oh,
this piece
nice.
of watercolor that I started about, 6 years ago when I was on a trip to Italy, and I was looking up at the beautiful sky with the fig trees kind of in silhouette. And so I started to draw it out and to paint it, but I just forgot about it. And I never, so I just went back to it this week and decided that I would enrich some of the colors and make a stronger contrast.
Looks great. It really looks great.
Beautiful.
Well, you know what it reminds me of now that I'm looking at it? It reminds me of what Bob just showed us with the little squigglies from the security envelope. That contrast. But really, when I look at this piece, if you think about inspired by an artist, really, I was looking at the sky and looking at a silhouette. Pretty straightforward stuff. But when I look at it, it does remind me a little bit of William Morris, in that kind of,
Yes.
Mhm.
especially with the green and red. It
Yeah.
reminds me. So
Deliberate patterning, even though it's so sort of random, but it looks deliberate. Very nice.
So I think I could get away with that as inspired by a great artist.
Sure.
And the last one, this is really strange because you're looking at this on a huge screen and it's actually a very smallish watercolor, but it's Tinicum Marsh over there by the airport.
Ah,
And again, this was a quick small sketch that, I don't know, probably took an hour, but it's mostly like wet on wet. It
Wow.
looks weird. These watercolors look weird, I think, on a big screen.
Just after that Hoffman class, Sue?
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. That's what I have.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Very good.
Hey,
Beautiful.
Wow.
should I go, Bob?
Ron?
Yep.
Do you want to show?
Yep.
I can't wait until we see the real thing.
Oh, that's me.
So this is
Oh, that's enormous Broadway.
this is the documentary part of what I'm showing. This is one of my favorite people on Cape Cod a couple while ago, and the painter I just mentioned is this guy John Hoffman, who was teaching this
Tom
workshop. What?
Tom.
Tom Hoffman. I said John. I know John Hoffman, but Tom Hoffman. And the interesting thing about his technique, what he was doing that's so different from what Susan, I think, had done before, and that was that apparently his standard brush size, his basic brush size for watercolor is a 2-inch brush.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's working with these, and I was just looking at Susan's picture, and you could just see, like, I don't think she was using 2-inch, but she was using bigger brushes than she ordinarily does to create these effects. And yeah, I thought it was really kind of interesting. Anyway, so then a couple of things. So this one is, I really like playing with, this is that oil paint filter, and I thought it was a pretty neat picture to begin with, but I just like the way it
Beautiful.
smooths out, and makes it, I don't know, I just like it. So,
Oh, great.
and then this is the one, this was the original picture. This is a statue on the side of Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, the big Gaudi cathedral. And this is just a detail of one of the many statues. The front of that building, if you've ever been there, the front of the building is sort of old style statues on the outside of the building. On the back side of the building, it's this modern style. So it's really interesting how he did it. And then, this is to me kind of like, Bob, I was playing with a pixelate filter because you had sort of pointed us in that direction. So there's a little bit of the pixelate filter in there. It's much smaller size than I think what you use, and just some other things going on. And, I ended up with this, and it was sort of, again, kind of a COVID mood picture. But now that I look at it, I think it looks more like an ad for a cold remedy. He's got a bad cold.
I'm thinking about a monk, and maybe what's the drink that made everybody crazy?
Oh, yeah. From the
Absinthe. Absinthe.
Absinthe.
This is the monk that produces absinthe.
So anyway, so that was the original. And then these are just some other ones. Again, there's a little bit of that filter in here, but not on the faces, because the face, I wanted that to look the same, but her hair and her sweater has, and this again is an analog photo from, 40 years ago, 45, digital photo, I'm sorry, analog photo from 45 years ago. And, it's just really fun to play with those. And then I was like, these are just other play things. This is a picture of, again, from way back then, of my brother who isn't around anymore, unfortunately. But, again, just to show, like, how there's just something about that analog film that, like this, I don't know, I just like it. It's just, it's just different than digital. And digital, with my digital equipment, I'm all about trying to get like super crisp and super sharp. And, this is the opposite of that. And it's just interesting to fool around with it. And, I was just fooling around. I didn't really work too hard this week on this stuff because I'm actually busy with politics stuff. But, I was just like, well, what if I tried to colorize this, So this was kind of an attempt to,
Wow.
so he's got a little bit of a skin tone here. And then, I played with different shirt colors, and this one turned best. And then this was, again, a collage within the background, textures in the background from other photos that were laid in here. So, I don't know.
Was he a priest?
Nope. I don't know.
Huh?
Go backwards 45 years, styles were different. I don't know. I don't know.
Just the white thing at the throat. That's for
Yeah.
sick. I thought it was a priest.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where he got this shirt. Maybe
It
yeah,
just-
he may have gotten this from like a surplus store or something.
A priest surplus store?
I don't know. I don't know why he had this or whatever, but the photograph itself was intentional. I remember taking this and saying, Hans, he was actually standing on the roof.
Oh,
And, like I said, Hans, hold out your hands because of that tree behind you,
yeah, cool.
It's fun. Anyway, that's it.
And then you scanned it. How did you get it in digital form? You found the old print.
I found the negative, and in fact, I happen to have it right in front of me. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I don't know if you can see me, but there's this. I'm looking at the negative. This actually is the negative,
Wow.
Yeah.
and I bought this little machine, to scan negatives, and it is. I don't know. I'm not.
Hold
I
up
think
the
if I
machine again.
Huh? The machine?
Hold up the machine.
Yeah, it's plugged in. Hold on. That's this. Can you see it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. All right.
And then you just there's a little slider in the thing here, and you put the negative in there, and you put it in, and it puts it on an SD card, and then you take the SD card and scan it over. Now the thing is, I actually have some prints that I made back then from negatives like this. And the quality of the prints is better in terms of, crispness and so forth than this scanner is producing when I do and that was just an enlarger. I mean, I didn't have a really fancy enlarger back then, but obviously the quality of that enlarger, Besseler was the name, right, of enlargers back in those days? It was a Besseler enlarger, and the quality from the same negative that you got from using the enlarger and printing on photo paper was better quality than what I'm getting here. But like I said, I'm kind of enjoying that lack of, the whatever, it's this, I don't know how you describe it, but it's the fact that it's not crisp, it's a little bit, it bleeds a little bit. I actually kind of like that, so.
Yes, gentle.
Very good.
I have a question for you that you might find this something interesting to think about. Maybe not, but maybe you would. Years ago, when I spent a lot of time in the darkroom, the Polaroid SX70 came out. And it fascinated me because I was really never able to do color printing in my converted garage, which was my darkroom, because it's really hard from negatives to do color printing. It's easier from slides, but it's tough from negatives. Anyway, I figured out a way to do multiple exposures using a Polaroid SX70. Now, when you press the button on the SX70,
It flips out.
so see if you can figure out how I did multiple exposures with an SX70. Might be a challenge for you. Seems like something that you might get a kick out of figuring out.
Did it involve holding your hand in front of a little eject slot?
You took out the batteries.
No,
Oh, interesting.
I'll let you
It's
figure
10
it out.
after. This has been a great session, to my mind. Very strong
Very
work.
fun.
Bob, can I ask a question before we sign
Sure.
off? Okay, because you started off by asking people to show their postcards. So I'd like to ask Janice and Sarah if, would you like to ask to have those postcards stories shown on the website? Do you want to share those with everybody, or do you feel like it's a personal thing?
I think people would enjoy them. Do you find you're having people go to the website a lot?
I think more and more people will if we give them stuff to check out. you know? So I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't even, I'm only asking because, you know, it's kind of an obvious question. Is it a personal project or I think it's a personal project, but, you know, we would maybe share the each stage. What do you think, Janice? I saw you shake your head like, no.
It's fine with me.
Oh, it is fine with you. Okay.
Yeah.
So then let's ask whoever else is doing it, because I think it's great to give people that idea that there's something that they can do artistically with others, and it builds fellowship and it's just fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll take it from there. Thank you, Bob, for letting me ask that.
All right. Good night, all.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Nice.
See you
Thanks,
next
everybody.
week.